Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. We are from group 2. We would like to explaining about our paper with the title Mobile Assisted Language Learning in Teaching Listening During Online Learning in Pandemic COVID-19 Era at Senior High School 1 Teluk Jambe Timur. The member of group name there are Ismi Nur Asifa, Endang Ekawati, Sri Mulyani, Sinta Rosita, and Dea Meliana. So my name is Dea Meliana and I will go first to explaining about this paper. Penelitian ini bertujuan untuk menggambarkan Mobile Assisted Learning Language dalam mengajar mendengarkan, mengidentifikasi masalah, dan menjelaskan solusi untuk masalah. Dalam studi deskriptif kualitatif ini, peneliti ini dilakukan pada bulan September hingga Maret di SMA Negeri 1 Teluk Jambe Timur. Kemudian penelitian ini difokuskan pada deskripsi Mobile Assisted Language Learning dalam pengajaran, masalah, dan solusi untuk masalah. Kemudian dalam pengumpulan data, peneliti menggunakan observasi, wawancara, dan dokumentasi. Dan dalam menganalisis data, peneliti menggunakan pengumpulan data, pengurangan data, tampilan data, dan kesimpulan. Dan untuk mengetahui apakah valid atau tidaknya, peneliti menggunakan triangulasi metodologis, triangulasi teoritis, dan peneliti ahli. Ya, kemudian kita beralih ke introduction atau pendahuluan. Yang pertama yaitu latar belakang penelitian. Menurut Basilaya dan Kavadej, selama wabah COVID-19, banyak sekolah yang mencoba menyusun kebiasaan baru dalam aktivitas belajarnya. Salah satunya dengan menerapkan teknologi dalam proses pembelajaran. Nah, pemanfaatan teknologi saat ini tidak lepas dari isu penyakit virus corona, karena dapat merugikan sekolah untuk mengadakan kegiatan secara rutin. Seperti dilansir tirto.id, karena COVID-19 belum juga mereda, tidak semua sekolah bisa melakukan kegiatan belajar tatap muka. Hanya sekolah yang diizinkan masuk zona hijau, dan itu harus dilakukan dengan protokol kesehatan yang ketat. Nah, penggunaan teknologi dalam proses pembelajaran membuat proses pembelajaran menjadi lebih bervariasi dan menarik. Melalui pemanfaatan teknologi, diharapkan proses belajar mengajar menjadi lebih efektif dan efisien. Hal tersebut sejalan dengan kondisi saat ini, di mana tidak semua sekolah diperbolehkan melakukan kegiatan belajar mengajar secara offline, namun diwajibkan melakukan pembelajaran secara online atau daring. Namun memang sekolah di zona tertentu tetap diperbolehkan untuk melakukan pembelajaran di sekolah. Guru sebagai ujung tombak pelaksanaan pembelajaran online harus mampu mengkondisikan seluruh komponen pembelajaran. Nah, hal tersebut meliputi metode pembelajaran, media yang digunakan dalam pembelajaran, penggunaan waktu pembelajaran yang berkaitan dengan waktu penggunaan aplikasi, serta faktor psikologis dan sosial yang berpengaruh secara signifikan terhadap motivasi guru saat mengajar. Pembelajaran online memiliki banyak jenis dan model. Semua jenis akan baik asalkan prinsip pembelajaran online ini kita terapkan dengan baik dan berkualitas. Menurut Puskom 2013, dilihat dari skema interaksi pembelajaran online dapat dibedakan antara bentuk sinkron dan bentuk asinkron. Menurut Selwa Kumaran 2011, sinkronus artinya atau sinkron, proses pembelajaran dilaksanakan pada jadwal yang sama, sehingga memungkinkan terjadinya interaksi langsung antara dosen dengan mahasiswa dan antar mahasiswa dengan mahasiswa pada saat pembelajaran. Sedangkan asinkronus memungkinkan siswa untuk belajar pada waktu yang berbeda dalam rentang waktu yang ditentukan, sehingga interaksi dan komunikasi berlangsung secara tidak langsung. Tentunya kedua skema tersebut menjanjikan kelebihan dan kekurangan masing-masing, sehingga perlu disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan. Selama pembelajaran di rumah, banyak guru yang lebih memilih menggunakan ponsel sebagai media untuk mengajar siswanya. Saat ini, penggunaan Mobile Assisted Learning Language menjadi suatu keharusan bagi sekolah untuk menyelenggarakan proses pembelajaran. Hal ini tidak lepas dari anjuran pemerintah agar sekolah melaksanakan proses pembelajaran dari rumah. Penggunaan Mobile Assisted Learning Language ditandai dengan pembelajaran melalui seluler. Siswa dapat menggunakan fitur-fitur yang terdapat pada seluler seperti video, audio, MP3, dan lain sebagainya pada saat melaksanakan kegiatan pembelajaran. Penggunaan Mobile Assisted Learning Language dinilai dapat memudahkan siswa dalam mengakses materi pembelajaran dari manapun, termasuk dari rumah masing-masing. Selanjutnya itu identifikasi masalah. Sampai melakukan penelitian ini, peneliti melakukan observasi dan wawancara sebagai pra-penelitian untuk mendapatkan informasi tentang media yang digunakan guru dalam pembelajaran menyimak di SMAN 1 Teluk Jambe Timur. Ada beberapa masalah yang bisa dijelaskan. Yang pertama adalah penggunaan inovasi dalam pembelajaran bahasa. Semua guru dan siswa harus menyertakan smartphone di dalam kelas. Dan yang kedua yaitu mereka bertanggung jawab untuk mengajarkan keterampilan bahasa Inggris, khususnya untuk mendengarkan. Media yang sesuai harus digunakan untuk mengatasi kerugian dan dari laboratorium bahasa. Ponsel pintar dapat menjadi alat untuk membantu proses pembelajaran. Selanjutnya itu batasan masalah. Batasan dalam penelitian ini didasarkan pada Mobile Assisted Learning Language atau MAL dalam mengajar mendengarkan di kelas 10 SMAN 1 Teluk Jambe Timur Karawang tahun ajaran 2020-2021. Subjek utama adalah definisi pembelajaran bahasa berbantuan seluler dalam pengajaran menyimak. Penelitian ini ingin mengetahui permasalahan dalam pembelajaran menyimak yang menggunakan smartphone dan strategi perbaikan permasalahan dalam pembelajaran menyimak menggunakan smartphone di kelas. Itu pertanyaan penelitian atau research question. Yang pertama, bagaimana pembelajaran bahasa berbantu Mobile Assisted Learning Language dalam pembelajaran menyimak pada pembelajaran online era pandemi COVID-19 di kelas 10 SMAN 1 Teluk Jambe Timur tahun ajaran 2020-2021. Dan yang kedua yaitu apa aja tantangan Mobile Assisted Learning Language ini dalam mengajar menyimak selama pembelajaran online era pandemi COVID-19 pada siswa SMAN 1 Teluk Jambe Timur Karawang tahun 2020-2021. Kemudian tujuan penelitian. Tujuan penelitian ini ada dua, yaitu yang pertama mengidentifikasi Mobile Assisted Learning Language dalam pembelajaran menyimak siswa kelas 10 SMAN 1 Teluk Jambe Timur Karawang tahun ajaran 2020-2021 dan mengidentifikasi permasalahan Mobile Assisted Learning Language dalam pembelajaran listening kepada siswa kelas 10 SMAN 1 Teluk Jambe Timur Karawang tahun ajaran 2020-2021. Kemudian yaitu manfaat penelitian. Manfaat penelitian ini terbagi menjadi dua, yaitu manfaat secara teoritis dan manfaat praktis. Manfaat secara teoritis yaitu peneliti ini akan memperkenalkan prinsip MAL atau Mobile Assisted Learning Language dalam pengajaran perhatian kepada siswa, dan pembaca akan belajar Mobile Assisted Learning Language sambil mengajar mendengarkan. Dan yang kedua itu manfaat praktis, siswa dapat menggunakan smartphone dalam pembelajaran bahasa di kelas, dan guru akan memberikan pengetahuan tentang masalah saat aplikasi digunakan untuk mengajar perhatian. Ini akan memungkinkan guru memecahkan masalah proses pembelajaran. Chapter selanjutnya akan dijelaskan oleh Sri Mulyani. Sekian dari saya, terima kasih.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sri Mulyani. I'm from 6F Indonesia Education Department, University of Singapore Bangsa Karawang. I'm a member of Group 2. I would like to explain about literature review. Okay, let's start off with the review of teaching listening. The first is the nature of listening. According to Sarik Foban, listening is the skill to identify what other people say. Ketika orang berkomunikasi dengan orang lain, mereka akan mendengar dengan penuh perhatian apa ide-ide lawan bicara mereka. They are seeking to specifically describe the ideas. The second is process of listening. The listening process occurs in 5 stages. They are hearing, understanding, remembering, evaluating, and responding. The first stage is hearing. Listening mengacu pada respon yang disebabkan oleh gelombang suara yang merangsang reseptor sensorik telinga. Ini adalah reaksi fisik. The second stage consists of understanding. This will help us understand the symbol we have heard and seen. The third stage about remembering. Proses penting mendengarkan karena menunjukkan seseorang tidak hanya menerima dan memahami pesan, tetapi juga telah menambahkannya ke bank penyimpanan pikiran. The stage of the fourth is evaluating. At this point, only active listeners engage in listening. The last stage is to responding. Ini menjadi satu-satunya cara secara langsung di mana pengirim dapat menentukan tingkat keberhasilan apa yang dikirim. Let's dive into the listening skill. We need some technique and expertise in mastering the listening. Brown said that there are two skills in listening, macro and micro skill. Macro ability struggle with organization debate level, while micro ability issue about sentence level. Next, problem in listening. We must pay attention to some condition that may interrupt the listening process and make it challenging in the process of expression. Brown has adapted 8 variables. These are clustering, redundancy, reduced form, performance variable, colloquial language, rate of delivery, stress, rhythm, and intonation, and the last is interaction. Next, teaching listening. Brown menyatakan bahwa pengajaran membimbing dan memfasilitasi pembelajaran memungkinkan peserta didik untuk belajar dan menetapkan kondisi untuk belajar. Ini berarti bahwa pengajaran memberi kita pemahaman tentang cara belajar yang akan mendefinisikan teori pengajaran, gaya pengajaran, metodologi, strategi, pendekatan ke kelas. Selanjutnya adalah listening assessment. Buck berpendapat bahwa ada beberapa tujuan untuk menilai listening, yaitu general language proficiency, representing oral skill, assessing achievement, diagnostic test, full or district-based test. And now let's move on to the review of mobile learning activity. The first is the nature of mobile learning. McGugan berpendapat bahwa pembelajaran seluler adalah pengalaman dan peluang yang diberikan oleh evolusi teknologi pendidikan. Mereka tidak hanya belajar secara mandiri, tetapi mereka juga dapat berbagi semua pengalaman mereka melalui smartphone. Ini akan mendorong pengajaran mereka di kelas modern. Lalu kedua ada the nature of mobile learning activities. Sharpless menyatakan bahwa desain kegiatan pembelajaran seluler yang inovatif harus dipandu oleh skenario pembelajaran kolaboratif dalam konteks yang didukung oleh teknologi seluler dan di mana-mana dalam pengaturan otentik. Next, review of mobile assisted language learning, MAL. The first is the nature of MAL. MAL is the use of mobile device and technology in the learning and teaching of foreign language, according to Senani. Involving the smartphone in classroom English improved language learning achievement. Teacher and student can use smartphone to learn English. The second is the use of MAL. Renders mention that MAL is used to teach language proficiency. These are teaching reading, speaking, writing, vocabulary, pronunciation, listening, and grammar. The third is principle of MAL. There are the activity of mobile learning, tasks, and abstract distinguish both, reduce the distraction from multitasking and the environment. The push but honor limit and knowledge and plan to handle the difference between language learners, etc. The fourth is component of teaching learning process. Nguyen mentioned the component of language teaching learning as follows: goals, the role of teacher, the role of learners, the use of material, method, media, evaluation. Disadvantage of MAL. Ada lack of mobile phone access, mobile phone and wireless service bill, noise and disruption in class, privacy consideration, increased teacher workload. Selanjutnya ada advantages of MAL. There are ability to learn on the go, reach underserved children in school, improve higher order thinking skills, supportive alternative learning environment. enable personalized learning, and motivate students. And the last is previous related study. Peneliti pertama dari Hek Sukim berjudul Emerging Mobile Apps to Improve English Listening Skill. Penelitian ini menunjukkan bahwa praktik kontekstual dapat meningkatkan keterampilan mendengarkan dan mengungkapkan manfaat dan kelemahan penerapan ponsel di kelas bahasa asing. Lalu penelitian kedua ada dari Azhar and Nasiri yang berjudul Learners Attitude Toward the Effectiveness of Mobile Assisted Language Learning in Second Language Listening Comprehension. Penelitian ini bertujuan untuk menyelidiki sikap pembelajar di Iran terhadap efektivitas MOL pada pemahaman mendengarkan mereka. Lalu terakhir penelitian dari Rahimi and Soleimani yang berjudul The Impact of Mobile Learning on Listening Anxiety and Listening Comprehension. Bertujuan untuk menyelidiki dampak pembelajaran seluler terhadap kecemasan pendengar dan pemahaman pendengar peserta didik IFL. Dari keterangan di atas, peneliti ingin menyelesaikan penelitian sebelumnya dan terkait penelitian serupa. Peneliti ingin melakukan studi tentang mobile assisted language learning dalam mengajar, mendengarkan dengan objek yang berbeda dan analisis yang berbeda. Dalam penelitian ini, peneliti fokus pada kegiatan pembelajaran seluler ketika seorang guru mengajar listening di kelas. Okay, thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shintaro Sita, and this time I would like to present our research methodology. In our research, we use qualitative descriptive research design. By using this kind of research design, we can interpret the investigation of activities, relationships, materials, or situations. Using this research design, we can interpret and describe the data that we have collected. The reason why we use this kind of research design is because the data couldn't be enough to be presented numerically. There are two research subjects in our research. The first is English instructor or English teacher in SMAN 1 Teluk Jambe Timur, and the second one is the students of SMAN Teluk Jambe Timur, which are students from class 10th, and it consists of 35 students. Next is instrument and data collection technique. There are two instruments in our research. The first is events. So the data we collect is the activities that are held in online or virtual learning of English listening in the class of 10th Social 1 in SMAN 1 Teluk Jambe Timur. And the next one is informants. Informants is we have interviewed the English instructor and the 35 students of 10th Social 1. Data collection technique. The first technique is observation. In this research, we collect video recording of activities in listening classroom of 10 Social 1. So the teacher sent the video by email, and we observe the video. By observing the video, we know that the English instructors knows how to use her laptop or her smartphone to aid the virtual classroom. And from observing the video, we know that the situation and condition that happening in the class is kind of good and have great interaction from the students and instructor. The next technique is interview.
To verify the accuracy of the data that we have observed from the video recording, we use semi-structured interview for the subject. With using this kind of interview, we can collect the data deeply from the interviewee. This kind of interview is more easy, it is more free and comfortable for the researchers and also for the interviewee. Before the interview, we prepared some questions that may have developed during the interview, and we can ask by the answer that have been given by the subject of the interview. The third and the last technique is documents. The English instructor sent us all archive that related to the students' activities and achievement in the class. With these documents, we can support the data from the observation and also the interviews. Next is research procedure and also the time allocation. Before going through all the phases of this research, first we asked the subject for their willingness to be participants in this study or research. The first, we asked them to provide us some documents, as I mentioned before, the video recording of online class in English listening class, and also some archive of students' achievement in the listening class. After that, we conducted some interview for the students by interviewing them for 15 to 30 minutes. But because we have time limits, we ended up divide them into a few groups, so we are not waste so much time. We held the interview by using video conferencing such as Zoom or Google Meet. We use them to provide the video recording and the interview so that the data is eligible. The next and also the last part of this chapter is data analysis technique. The first is data collection, as I said before and I explained before. We collected the data from observation, interview, and documentation. And the second one is data reduction. We reduct the data because we cannot input all of them into our research, and we only use the important and essential from the data from the observation and also interviews and documents. After the data being reduced, we display them by giving narrative text and briefly interpret and describe and also explain the data in the discussion. And after that, we can conclude all the data by giving conclusion. In this conclusion, we conclude all the data in discussion, and in this part, the conclusion will answer the research question of this research. So it's all from me, the explanation of chapter 3 of our research. Thank you so much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ismira Sifa. I'm a member of Group 2. On this special occasion, I would like to explain about Chapter 4, that is Research Findings and Discussion. This chapter presents the answer of research question in the first chapter. The researcher collected the data by doing observation, interview, and documentation. The classroom procedure is stated detailedly on the field note. The conversation about teaching learning process is documented in audio recorder. The researcher also took some pictures and videos during the teaching learning process. The data description as follows. First, the description of MOL in teaching listening. In this part, researcher explained the process of using smartphone in the classroom. The process are include as preparation, teaching learning process that is consists of the steps of classroom procedure and its components, and the evaluation. The data is the combination of the observation and the result of interview both the researchers, both the teacher and the students. First is preparation. Preparation is the first step of teaching learning process. It is the essential thing that teachers have to pay attention. One of the real preparation is to check the condition of the students, class, and school. There are some concepts, especially in teaching learning with smartphones. The second one is teaching learning process. The researcher explained all the steps in using smartphone to teach listening. For the first is opening. According to the observation, the researchers saw that the teacher opened the class with fun. He did warm up. The teacher asked the student to sing a kid song while dancing. Then the researcher tells a story about a family, and the teacher also commend the student to do something when hear some special words. The second one is main activity. The second step is doing main activity. In this step, the researcher delivered the materials. And the last one is closing. The lesson done by reciting Hamdalah. In the other hand, the teacher conducted a listening test by smartphone in the third observation. In this scenario, the teacher would like to judge the lesson by talking a score as the student's real achievement. Next slide is the component of teaching listening process. What is the goal of the teaching learning process by MOL? MOL in teaching listening is to maximize smartphone, and the other goal is to bring the modern media smartphone to learning language. Second one is the teacher's role. The observer saw the teacher operating as classroom manager. Meanwhile, the teacher operating as motivator as well. The teacher encouraged students to keep learning English and gave the student the modern media which can make students enjoy to learn. The third one is the role of students. In the classroom, student is the central subject of learning process as active participant and the listener as a listener. The fourth one is the materials. The material has an essential role in the teaching process of learning. The material is aimed to improve the ability and student knowledge. The material explained as follows: announcement, pronunciation, missing lyric, and simple past tense in this section. The next one is the method. The researcher watched the student access the material using their smartphone. They listen the audio on it individually. Besides that, the teacher sometimes asks them to learn in group. Next one is media. The media that used by the teacher are various. Smartphone is the main media in this listening course. The smartphone is used for share an audio, watch a video, send the answer of some items like paper chunking, video, LCD, speaker, and etc. And the last one is the evaluation. The evaluation that used by the teacher in this observation are: first, student fill the blank script by listening to the audio from the smartphone. Second one is ask students some question and give an oral or written test. The next one is the discussion. In this section, the researchers discuss the research findings from the observation, interview, and documentation. The research findings are about mobile-assisted language learning in teaching listening, the problem faced by teacher and student, and also its problem solution. From the preparation, beside from the research finding, the use of smartphone in teaching listening include as applying more in general. Based on the result of interview, although the teacher claimed that he didn't pay attention about the principles of malls, but he already tried to use smartphone in teaching language learning. He guided the students to utilize the smartphone wisely. The teacher still introduced the media in the classroom, check the connectivity, and plan as usual. The second one is the steps of classroom procedures. Mobile-assisted language learning in teaching listening is the example of the teaching learning process. It is like the teaching learning process in general. But the important point in this teaching learning process is the use of smartphone as the media in teaching listening. It's used by the teacher to deliver the materials. Actually, not only utilizing the audio of the smartphone, the teacher and the student can use video. It supports the activity which is also related with language learning. The third one is about the teacher's role. Teacher's role in classroom is one of the important things. Teacher not only give the material for the student, but must manage the class smartly. A good classroom management will support the process of teaching learning indirectly. It will help the students to get the material so well. And the fourth is the media. The teacher uses a smartphone as media in language learning because the students are allowed to carry it in school. He argued that smartphone is something the student enjoy. So he used it in teaching learning. Although it is not possible to deliver all English material by the smartphones. The teacher wants the student to use it wisely. The next slide is the problem of MAL in teaching listening. There are some problems faced by the teacher and the student in teaching learning process. In the teaching learning process, the mobile assisted language learning and teaching listening, there are two problems. For the first problem is there were some students who were busy while the teacher asked them to use their smartphone. They can use it wisely, such as open another application before they open the media that the teacher must to tell the student. And the second problem is on the connectivity. The students often complain about it when the teacher asks them to open their smartphone. This teaching learning process will be fluently if there are good connectivity. And then, what is the solution of this problem? Next slide is the problem solution of MAL in teaching listening. From the two problems in mobile assisted language learning in teaching listening, there are some problem solutions. The first problem solution is the teacher have to control the class wisely. Not only the teacher, but also the leader of the class can monitor the use of smartphone their friend. The second problem solution is prepare another media. It will support the listen still fluently. It also show that MAL can be designed as blended learning, combine the new media and conventional learning. And then prepare another media and also facilitate the connectivity in the classroom or all the area at the school. That's all for me. Thanks for your kind attention. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, I'm Endang Ikrawati. I would like to conclude the presentation by summarizing the information. This present study sought to the use of MAL in teaching listening during pandemic era at SMA N1 Turk Jambi Timur. Since pandemic, teachers and students must include smartphone or gadget in the learning processes. However, there is found two problems. First, the students were distracted while they were being told to use their smartphone by the teacher. Second problem is the internet connection was poor. So, to fix those problems, the researchers give us suggestions. First, the teacher should control the online class wisely. Not only the teacher can ask the captain of the class to help them to control the class. Second is the teacher should prepare the another media to keep the learning held. So to minimize the use of internet connection. So that's enough from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.